Wanted to catch up with you. A lot of times we have conversations with patients and they ask questions. And so, I always talk about when you get adjusted, and I'll tell a patient on Monday, hey, I'm glad you're getting adjusted on Monday sometimes because it'll help you adapt to stress for the rest of the week. Or they come in on Friday, I'm like, hey, I'm glad that you are here so we can help you undo the stresses of the week. And so I guess the topic I really wanted to talk about was, what does stress have to do with your chiropractic adjustments, right? So I think the big thing is this: our bodies are designed to adapt. But to what, right? And in reality, to every possible stimulus that we could think of. I mean, did you eat something today? Your body actually had to adapt to that. Did you trip or fall, or did you move at all? Your body had to adapt to it. So did you get the best adjustment of your life to it today? Guess what? Your body had to adapt to that adjustment. Oh, and did you spend Sunday watching hours of television? Because guess what? Your body's going to adapt to that position that you sat on the couch for hours in. So I guess, what does it really mean to adapt? Because if you don't know what it means, then it doesn't matter, right? So in the case of eating food, your body obviously has to digest the food. It has to sort the nutrients from the waste and pull in the nutrients and excrete that waste. When you trip, your body has to react so that you can actually catch yourself and you can prevent injury. If you don't catch yourself and you fall down and hit your knee or you've hit your head, there's going to be numerous forces that are in play that, you guessed it, your body actually must react to. So I guess what I mean by this is that let's look at the adaptation as falling to your knee. And that's a simple one because we've all fallen down before, right? The initial impact, what it's going to do is it's going to cause this physical force that you actually have to absorb into your body. We have hard tissue, we have bones, we have soft tissue, we have muscles, we have ligaments. And that's going to take care of most of those physical forces. But what if you can't absorb the force? Imagine getting into a car crash. Are you better off to crash while conscious, or to crash while awake, or crash while unconscious or asleep, right? So if you know about crashes, if you stiffen up, there's bound to be much worse outcomes than if you're actually relaxed and unaware. That's why they always talk about the drunk driver walking away. How did he live, right? Being in a relaxed state allows your body to absorb and deal with physical forces. I'm not saying being drunk all the time is a good idea, but on top of the initial impact, there's your natural response to absorbing the force, which is to send signals to protect ourselves. And so this is often seen with spinal changes. We'll see muscle soreness and feelings of fatigue and lethargy following an injury. I'm sure you've probably felt that sometimes even after you work out, right? So in addition to the physical impact of falling on your knee, there's a mental and an emotional component. I mean, how likely are you to do something again if it was painful when the last time you did it? So many people a lot of times will give up on a hobby that they simply love because that hobby caused them some sort of pain. And their way to adapt to that pain was not trying to fix the problem, but was to try to cut off the activity, right? Reading this doesn't seem silly, but I bet you can relate. So in the case of your knee, falling will send pain signals to your spinal cord and up to your brain that will register across literally hundreds of thousands of synapses. And some of those nervous system signals, what they're going to do is they're going to trigger a part of your brain called the amygdala. And what it's going to do is it's going to increase in activity. That amygdala is the fear center of your body. So when we activate the fear center, we're more likely to avoid activities that will reactivate those same pathways. So now, hopefully it's starting to make sense that when you're riding your bike and you fell and you hit your knee, and even though this bike ride didn't directly cause you to actually activate your amygdala pathway, well, that you would in the future try to avoid riding your bike due to those conditioned neurologic pathways, those ones that are part of your body's adaptation patterns. Remember, they always talk about when you fall off a horse, first thing you can do is get back up, right? Because a lot of times somebody falls off a horse, what do they want to do? They want to not ride a horse for the rest of their life. So following your knee hitting the ground, your body's got to start that healing process. And even though we have relatively the same healing pathways, the healing opportunity, unfortunately, is not the same for each individual based on their particular physiology, right? The healing process, it's going to include this rush of fluid and cells to the injury site. Your body's going to need to wall off any openings in your skin while identifying and starting the process of destroying any foreign material and things that might have entered that tissue or underneath those inner tissue layers. So we all have heard of somebody who is on a blood thinner, right? And what they do is they take this blood thinner to prevent the clotting process from occurring. You'll usually tell there'll be people with like bruises on their arm, elderly people with bruises all over the place. You're like, what's going on with their skin? So there's someone who's not going to, these are people who aren't going to heal ideally as they should. Physiologic adaptations change within that person. Neurologically, the signals coming to and from the injury site have to be different for that change in the healing response to actually occur. So what we've done is we've discussed the physical, we've discussed the mental or emotional adaptation process that actually occur following your knee hitting the ground, right? Leading to this moment, the power of your chiropractic adjustment and the power of your body to adapt to those emotional, physical, and chemical stresses there. So the chiropractic adjustment, it literally changes the nature of the signals being sent neurologically. And that change in neurology, it immediately results in all kinds of physiologic changes. It'll have increased spinal joint movement, increased muscle tone, increased like synaptic activity around the cerebellum, which is your balance and coordination center. And it's going to release numerous what are called neurotransmitters, including these feel-good endorphins and kephalins that give us that euphoric feeling, and you know it, following each adjustment. And these are just a few of the changes that you get. You know, what also happens is that brain activity is also going to be shifted away from the amygdala. And that's one of the biggest things that I see with patients coming in. They're in such a place of fear. And as we start adjusting them, they leave that fear and they start focusing those improved signals to the frontal cortex, and they allow us to think and make actually good, actionable decisions with more clarity and less fear to cloud our judgment. So these are just a few of the millions of measurable changes that occur following an adjustment. Not just any adjustment, but your adjustment. Every single time you get adjustment, that adjustment changes your adaptation patterns. And that's why adjustments actually have to be very specific, like we do in this office, so that the input to the body changes the neurology for good and actually leads to positive physiologic change. And this is another reason why here at Discover Chiropractic, we use not only our warm-up procedures, but our post-adjustment procedures, such as the vibration and body weighting. What this is going to allow your body to do, it's going to allow you to adapt and to make neurologic changes that create new patterns, right? For example, let's say you have neck muscles that have been giving you headaches all week, right? And all of a sudden you receive a different pattern of signals to that flow to the muscles and tell it to relax. Or if you felt off balance, right, and then you get adjusted, and that new pattern of changes to the cerebellum gives new output, and you start to stand upright and more aligned. All these positive changes following your adjustment, they're reinforced with more movement, and the more that you move in a balanced manner, the more you're aligned, and the more you're in an adapted state. And that's why each adjustment compounds on the last adjustment. And your most important adjustment is your next adjustment. So as long as the adaptive pattern hasn't regressed to a less advantageous or a previously adapted state, we're going to keep moving forward. So where does it all lead to? Look, the moral of the story is this, is that when you fall on anything, whether it's a joint, your butt, fall off your diet, don't stop getting your adjustment. Because what that's going to do is that's going to ensure your body's at least going to adapt in a manner that causes patterns of healing and living to compound themselves within your daily life. Hey guys, this is Dr. Osborne. I just want to thank you for spending a few minutes with me. Just remember, you're more powerful than you know, and I think you're doing better. And in fact, I know you're doing better than you think you are. I'll see you at the tables.